All right, this is Upstate Parks and Rec, a new podcast dedicated to outdoor recreation and environmental conservation in upstate New York. I'm at a new cool location, Crooked Lake. It's a special fireside chat edition with Assemblyman Scott Bendett. Thanks for having me, or thanks for coming on.
I am happy to be with you.
This is the best location I've ever had this kind of thing at. So we got a little campfire going. It's a beautiful day. We are on Crooked Lake. I've actually had a lot of amazing summers here growing up. One of my best friends his family had a camp on the other side of Crooked Lake. So many weekends tubing. Also had a rope swing. So I love this lake for different reasons.
Well, I mean, this lake has provided recreational opportunities for people from the Rensselaer County, specifically even Troy, for 100 years plus.
Yeah.
And people used to take a trolley out here to the Crooked Lake House. They used to hold festivals that were really amazing parties, and brought people out. They had an indoor pool at one time.
Wow.
At the Crooked Lake Hotel. The hotel was very famous for some visitors that had some
Didn't the mob used to come out here?
Teddy Roosevelt came here. Also,
a lot of
Legs
big players,
Diamond was out here, and there was a famous shootout. There's a lot of history out here, and this place has been providing, recreational opportunities for fishermen, tubers, etc., vacationers for, like I say, well over 100 years.
Yeah, well, I grew up hanging out on Burden Lake and Crooked Lake, but it wasn't until more recently I learned how, they were all man-made lakes, and they kind of all powered the Industrial Revolution in a way.
Yes, the Burden Iron Works.
Exactly, which was instrumental for expanding out west for western United States, and also winning the Civil War. Those industries in Troy were big on just saving the Union, I guess.
Well, sure, especially, and you can't forget the Arsenal's role in all of that as well. I mean, the Watervliet Arsenal is the last arsenal that's in production today, and they made, ammunitions for the Civil War.
Okay. So what do you like to do on the lake? A little bit of everything?
Well, mostly I like to look at it, and I do look at myself as a steward of the lake, just like I do in terms of the golf course or all my land, steward of the land, and I try to take care of it as best I can.
Yeah.
And that revolves around, forestry, making sure that I remove trees that are diseased, and then add trees that are going to enhance the population. So, as you can see, native, absolutely. So as you can see, we've lost trees coming down the driveway from storms and wind shears, etc. We lost one right over here to your left that I'm going to have to dig out of the lake. And right now it'll provide great bass fishing, but there's
the bass like a fallen tree for cover. So
they use it for a cover. Yeah.
Nice.
So. You have all those issues as well, and as you can see, there's a lot of trees around here. We tend to, as you can see, there's also a lot of dandelions.
Yeah. And
so, we don't use a pesticide.
I love dandelions.
Yeah, we don't use a pesticide. We try to just,
Yeah.
And then I'm also a beekeeper. I have bees up on the top there, and as you know, I have chickens as you drove by.
You gotta.
I have 9 chickens right now.
And a garden, everything.
And the big garden, I do garden. I have fruit trees, apple, pear, peach. In fact, next to my barn right there, there's still 3 or 4 apple trees that I have to plant. I just planted one today, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Before I went to Investigator Films walkout for the sheriffs. So I try to, in my free time, I plant trees, I, clean up dead trees, and, it's just part of the life living in a rural area.
Yeah, well, there are, psychological and other health benefits of just getting in your hands in the soil, being around the dirt, and, exactly. So, that's the other thing about getting outside. That's why I wanted to do this podcast, try to promote, what we have here, why it's important to get out there, encourage others.
Well, I think it's much more important to be active in the environment than be an environmental activist. And I think what happens is
like
people
be about it
like
instead of talk about it.
Exactly. And you and I both know the thing with, like, as an example, a Taylor Swift or a Greta Thunberg, who are out there spouting their mouths off on all these issues and then taking private jets,
yeah.
you know, etc. And I mean, listen, I was one of the first people to have a Tesla, if you remember. I bought one many years ago when they first came out. It didn't really fit my needs. I'm hopeful in the future, just like with the cell phones, the advances in technology became very, very quick and very, very, quantum leap like technologies from having a phone to now having a computer. I have a feeling we're going to see some really big advances in electrical cars in the near future, and that'll make it where people will be more interested in buying them. I think right now people are trying to get them shoved down their throats. They're not interested in that. But it's like you have to actually think about who are the stewards of the environment. The farmers. Farmers are stewards of the environment.
Well, just on that note, though, I did see something that kind of made me change my mind on electric vehicles, which was like right now Toyota doesn't want to be a part of the electrical vehicle industry because they just found that it's more sustainable to produce the hybrid versions. You can get a lot more materials out of hybrids cheaper.
TJ, I've been talking about this for years. I agree with you 100%. Plus, they're not exactly, in my opinion, being 100% honest when they say zero emission
like the full
vehicles.
Of
the full footprint. If you take into account, number one, the hand mining of children in the Congo for these materials, where people are being maimed. You know about this, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, the what are you going to do with the batteries after they're gone? Number two. Number three, let's not forget that these are really, really heavy vehicles. Now, remember where we're from. We're from Rensselaer County, okay? We're a little motorhead cat. We know a little bit more about cars than the average person. We fix them ourselves. We change our oil ourselves. We're pretty knowledgeable when it comes to vehicles. The heavier the vehicle, the more wear and tear on the tire. Tires
and the
emit,
roads.
Exactly. It ruins the roads. There's more impact on the roads. But also, there's more carcinogenic emissions coming from tire usage.
Oh, so then there's
people are being a little bit disingenuous when they say zero emissions. That's all I'm going to say about that. Listen, I'm not a scientist by any stretch of the imagination,
the tire particles,
but I am very cautious on going all in on electric in terms of heating our homes.
It's good to diversify.
I think I'm a bit. You know, I'm a businessman.
Diversify everything.
You worked with me when you were a kid.
Yeah, so I used to work for Scott at his cigar shop, and appreciate that time in my life. Both went to UAlbany. I'm actually still thinking about going back to UAlbany. We have some great herons flying behind us right now. Great for the
probably
shot.
An eagle will be in maybe soon.
Couple eagles.
Well, I don't know about a couple. The blue herons, that was really nice.
Yeah.
There's two of them. There's another one too.
Yeah. So you get to see it all. I've been trying to get into bird watching more. That's a good thing, a fun thing to do.
Well, I just got 5 bluebird boxes from Frank Dingman from the Rensselaer County Conservation Alliance.
Okay.
And my friend bought 5 of them and put them up at the golf course, around the golf course. I got 5. They're $20 a piece.
Is that a fundraising gig for them?
It's a fundraising gig for them. I've been making them for years with Boy Scouts and such. We used to make them in Boy Scouts. And the more you put up, the more blue. If you go down by my barn, you'll see tons of birds because I have them all over the place. But yeah, I just got 5 more. Yesterday I met them at Hannaford and West Sand Lake. Awesome. And I'm going to be putting those up along some of my fields and such to, garner more. Because
does that help your vegetation and like for your bees?
I think it just helps the environment. It makes me feel good. I like seeing them. I have hummingbird feeders and all different kinds of bird feeders, and I love watching the birds. And I took a video the other day of a pileated woodpecker pounding on a tree. And
whenever I see one of those, I get excited.
I have deer running around. It's pretty incredible place to live in Rensselaer County. I'm really grateful for all of the different nature that we have out here, and that's why I'm so proud.
Is that why you chose it to be as your home?
Not exactly. I mean, I've always enjoyed that, and I consider all of upstate to have that kind of situation, but I do feel that my place here fits my needs and for what I want. But I was going to say that if you really want to tip your hat to a political official, a government official, a town official, then you really have to recognize the amount of work, open spaces that have been opened in the town of Nassau. Dave Fleming has opened up a tremendous resources. He just opened up a new park coming up this next week or so. He just recently opened up a new park.
Yeah.
And he's taking these little pocket parks, these little pieces of town-owned land, and creating trails and creating opportunities for people to get out. And he's done that in some ways in conjunction with the RPA, with Jim Bonesteel.
Yeah, you got to have a good collaboration between different organizations.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of work with the RPA and Jim Bonesteel through Scouts and through helping them when they first got started. I did their first auctions. I really kind of, was one of the guys helping them get started, and they're great. And it's a great resource. Nassau, they have Hayes Road. That's a great hike. The Albert Community Forest. And then they have Barbersville Falls.
Yep.
It's in Poston Kill. So, I mean, all over the Rensselaer County, we have gorgeous opportunities for people to get out and check some real.
Well, it's an economic development and tourism thing too, as well. Like the county has their tourism office, I guess.
Well, we have Vito. Vito's our tourism guy for the Rensselaer County Tourism Department, and he's very into bands.
Resources a big part of that? Or?
Well, I think it is personally. I mean, I think I'd have to agree with you that when you look at all of the issues, I mean, let's just be honest. We have a lot of different issues in our community right now. One such that I've been working on, and right before you came here, I was on the phone with Chatham School Superintendent about the opioid crisis and about substance use disorder. And we have lots of opportunities to improve our parks and recreation and get people, kids, young adults out and about. And these are different things that prove that fill what I call that empty void that, helps put you on that road to addiction.
Well, actually, I had an interview with a social worker, my most recent, for the podcast, and we touched on topics that was like, if we can have some kind of restorative justice for if it's community service, just to allow the kids to work in their local parks or public places, if they, whatever improvement it might be, or work with these nonprofits to get them outside, give them a little stake of ownership in the public place. And
well, I think that all communities should have that. And here in Sand Lake, if you drove out Route 43, just tucked in, right in between the school and Route 43 is Butler Park. Mm-hmm. And Butler Park is maintained by the town, but every year we have a program called Make Sand Lake Shine. And we go around our town and we work on getting it to be the best it can be. Clean up along the roads, the Crooked Lake Improvement Association, which I participated in. I cleaned up all of Eastern Union Turnpike.
Cleanup.
Well, we did all of Eastern Union Turnpike, Methodist Farm Road, Route 43, all around the lake. And it was about, almost 35, 40 people almost from the lake went around and did that cleanup. As well as, we always have fun doing it, sure. And then then after that, I went over to Butler Park and spread around this special mulch for the playground. Now, it was kind of funny because when I was a little bit more engaged in this cleanup, as a state official, I'm not quite as engaged. We would get the Boy Scouts, Kiwanian kids to help us do it. This time it was a bunch of older guys doing it and ladies, so it was pretty funny. But nonetheless, we all went, we cleaned it up. Now, just yesterday, I talked with one of our council people, Stuart, about painting some of our, benches and such. So these are things that we've done in the past that spruce it up, that make it. I painted the bathrooms and the equipment shed, 6 years ago. So it hasn't been painted since then. So, we're going to get together. We're going to have a painting day. We're going to call it a painting party that the town's going to set up. We're going to participate, spend a 9 to 12 on a Saturday. And those types of things are what really, I think, makes our parks shine. And I think that more communities, need to stay focused on that. But I got to tell you, out here in Rensselaer County, a lot of places do that. If you would see, just as an example, and I know.
So if you live next to a park, it's more than likely there's somebody there helping out or events.
Well, it's not even living next to the park; it's being in the community. I mean, somebody like myself, whose kids are much older, I don't use the park like a young family would use the park. Now, I do like to go to the concerts that we have at the park. Well, sure, you have Atlas, so you're in a different part of your life than I am.
Yeah.
And I have my own park right here. So people don't always, people use parks for different reasons. But if we all take a little bit of ownership in our in our parks, it does help out a little bit. And the nicer they are, the more people want to go there and use them. If they're crappy,
that's
nobody
been my
wants to use them.
message. Like almost basically every podcast, like the core message has been, you know, you can have more ownership in a park where you live or in your community more than you think. And if you want it to be like a nice special place, anyone can make it that. Kind of like usually you want to partner with other people in your community, but really it takes someone to take the initiative. It's not always the local government or other government entity. It should be kind of a partnership with the community.
I think a good way to live your life is to leave stuff a little bit better than when you found it.
Yeah, that's how I live my life.
I think it's a good motto, you know, and you know, by getting kids into Scouts and getting them into the outdoors and 4-H and Future Farmers of America and all the different organizations that, you know, push kids outside. I think those are the types of things that, you know, they teach you, you know. You bring trash in, you take trash out.
Yep.
You spend a Saturday doing a little bit of community service.
All right, so one of your other hats, you have many hats, but you're also an owner and I guess are you managing the Old Post Road Golf Club?
So I'm not managing it, no, but I am a partner in it.
You're an advisor?
Correct. I'm one of the owners of the golf course. Is the best way to put it. And yes, and I do enjoy that very much. I enjoy
it's a great community resource. It was kind of underutilized.
Well, it was awful. It was closed down. It was decrepit.
I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
I mean,
it was in rough shape when you...
Yeah, it was unmaintained, and unfortunately the man passed away, and in his old age he didn't maintain it as well as it should have been, and so it just really was a situation where, you know, you're starting from zero, and that's what we did. We, you know, put a tremendous amount of blood, sweat, and tears into it. I'm partners with Steve Hart and Tom Choquette, and you know, not only
maybe it's nice to have a blank slate every once in a while.
Yeah, but we've also invested, you know, significant resources, and you know, we're making, or we just said during our conversation, we want to leave the place a little better than we found it, and that's what we're doing with this 300 acres.
Yeah, but I love the model kind of that you're using, which is similar to Pheasant Hollow, where you can have like living area and improvement with homes that give them like close access to a community resource like a golf course.
Well,
like if they could take that model and replicate it in everywhere, like it would be great to have people living and enjoying these things instead of separating.
Well, what my vision is, and my partners as well, is to create an intergenerational facility.
Okay.
So what we're looking to do is create recreation for people. The thing about golf that's great is that it's not singular, as in it's not a singular gender sport. You can be a man or a woman and play golf.
All ages.
You can be young or you can be old. You can be disabled. The chances of you getting an injury during it are slim. So it's really a safe, wonderful way to spend recreation, again, to be with nature. I've actually walked down and seen coyote, turkey, deer, you know, you name it, I've seen it. It's really wonderful to be a part of that. And, you know, the beautiful grass, and it's just really being in, you know, God's world. And in doing so, I'm proud that we had the vision, because Schodack really is an underutilized community in the capital region. It's never really taken off. And when you think about the traffic patterns, the fact that it's got low traffic compared to like a Clifton Park, etc., it's really got a tremendous opportunity for a family to live a great life. Great life. Maple Hill School, great school. Columbia, great school. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, we have a tremendous opportunity there, and we're looking forward to it.
Do you do any work with like the Audubon Society with how you maintain a golf course? Or?
No, we haven't. I don't know what their role would be in something like that.
Oh, they do like you know, conservation certifications for golf courses.
Yeah. Sounds like it costs money.
You're paying for a stamp on.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm
Which
into
it
that.
might not make that much of a difference.
No, out here in our county where we live, we are surrounded by nature. We don't have to have it delineated.
That's true.
Delineated by the auto. It's not. I don't live in Westchester.
That's more.
It's a Westchester thing, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and another hat we can jump onto is in the assembly, were there any like big wins for, you know, your district or for the outdoors that you can hang your hat on? Or
Well, I mean, I've supported a lot of legislation,
yeah,
you know, to be environmentally conscious. I'm not a person who's an activist, so I don't know that I would be considered a, you know, champion of the environment in the assembly.
well, your
But as
your
I,
expertise is more business, so
but as I said, I am active in the environment,
yeah,
and that's where I think I bring
you have an
a
awareness.
special lens that some of my colleagues don't. I mean, let's, you know, be candid.
Like you have these city politicians, they
Well,
might be these
yeah,
big climate change environmentalists, but they're still in the city. Whereas if you're out living in a community like this, you're more in tune with nature, just inherently.
well, the chairwoman of the Environmental Conservation Committee is a wonderful, brilliant lady, I'm sure. You know, very, very bright, and she's
Manhattan.
been doing this for a long time. And she's from Greenwich Village.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's no farms in Greenwich Village, and she's making laws based on our farmers, etc. Now, again, you know, I don't blame the system.
Yeah.
I don't blame her, but you know, we have to make some changes. And really, the people who are our true conservationists are our hunters, fishermen, farmers. Farmers, I mean, get, you know, water out of a sponge like nobody can. They're so sustainable right now. They're so environmentally conscious, and they're just constantly being put through the ringers. And it's a big concern to me as an assembly person and as a citizen who has to worry about the future for his family as to whether or not they're going to be able to sustain and have their own abilities to purchase quality food. And that's one of the reasons why I like to be somewhat self-sustainable here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I pickle, I jam,
Yeah,
I do all those types of things, and you know, I'm hoping that my kids will follow in my footsteps.
That was good talking. Do you have any other call to action locally? Have you, like the Sand Lake Trail?
The one that you're referring to is one that was built a few years ago, probably like 5 years ago, before COVID. And that's like a mile-long trail. It's a novice trail.
Does it go around a stream?
It just goes around a little stream and a little bog, and it's cute, but it's, again, not very challenging and very quick. We are looking at the possibility of doing a trail on the old trolley tracks. And we do have some resistance from some of our citizens that don't want the trail going in their backyard.
Privacy, I've seen that.
And privacy issues. And I'm dealing with one right now in Stuyvesant off the back trail, where a man is very upset with how he's being treated by some of the trail goers. So if you are on a trail,
okay,
I mean, you have to really, you know,
well, there was resistance to that, to the Albany Hudson Electric Trail initially, but I don't think that there's been any issues as far as I know.
Well, no, I'm telling you right now that there's an issue because it's been called to my office.
Okay.
But my point is that the Sand Lake people hired the same people that did the Empire Trail, so that what they do is when they find somebody that doesn't want the trail in their backyard, they try to go around that person in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's going on right now. The town received a grant to hire that consultant. So, you know, that's a possibility for the future. Where and really for me, my main reason for supporting it is for kids to be able to ride their bikes on it, to get from their homes to the Hannaford, to have a little more freedom, unlike my kids who had to ride on the main roads, and with the trucks and all of that. I do see it from the perspective of the privacy of the homeowners, though, as well. So we'll see how that goes in the near future.
Well, the other concern people have had in the past for these kinds of trails is also like public safety and crime or whatever. As far as I know, there hasn't really been any issues.
I don't think that's an issue for what we're talking about here. It's really just neighbor to neighbor. And yes, people are reticent to want outsiders coming past their house.
But it might be being used informally right now already, and if you formalize it, sometimes that
I don't know if it's. I don't believe it's being used.
Okay.
We'll have to see how it works out.
Well, yeah, I spent my childhood riding the bike around everywhere all the time.
Me too.
And just like when I ride or walk on the Hudson Electric Trail in East Greenwich where I grew up, like if we had that when I was a kid with bikes, like it would have changed our childhood like tremendously for the better. Like it connects multiple schools, multiple neighborhoods. Like anytime you can get something like that can make like.
Well,
life
I mean,
safer
let's let's call it like it is. We've lost a sense of adventure amongst our youth. It's a lot safer to be in our bedrooms on our computers. It kind of falls into that narrative.
Whatever we can do to get kids outside, I think
I think it's important, and that's why I'm a big fan
of
scouting.
At least open-minded of, especially if we're community leaders and can advocate for something for the kids. I'm all for it.
Yeah, we have a fishing derby coming up here in town. I think it's at Burden Lake.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. We do a little toast now?
A little cheers for the end. Yeah, Upstate. Cheers to Upstate.
Cheers to Upstate.
All right, Upstate Parks and Rec, a new podcast dedicated to outdoor recreation and environmental conservation in upstate New York. I'm TJ Kennedy, Scott Bendett, Assemblyman. Thanks for joining, and we'll catch you next time.